So we can start.
All right, fantastic. We are live now. Good evening, everyone. This is Sam Besla, and today I have Mr. Mohammad Mustafa with me. And the man doesn't need any introduction. However, you can look up on the LinkedIn profile and everywhere else on Google. He has been Indian Administrative Services Officer, worked on the chair as on the board of SIDBI and various other very important institutions. And today, he's taken out some time to talk to us about the MSMEs in general, but the venture capital and the finances and the challenges that small businesses face in accessing the funds and managing the funds and anything else that you want to talk about. So, today we're going to take a lot of live questions, in fact. And if you are watching us from anywhere in the world, there are a couple of things that I want you to talk about. First is let me know in the comment section where are you watching us from and what is it that you do, and then you can drop in your questions also live for Mr. Mustafa to take. We'll pick up the questions during the conversation, and then we will try and make sure that we answer and address those questions. I'll try to keep this conversation in English because last time for the previous discussions, wherever we go, there are a lot of people who come and say that let's talk in English, please, because we have an international audience here and Hindi doesn't go well with everyone. But I personally prefer English. Mix
We
up.
have no issues. Yeah, you can talk in either language.
मिक्स करेंगे तो ज्यादा बेहतर रहेगा. So
Yeah,
here we
that's
go.
okay.
Mohammad Mustafa, welcome, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. Let's start. Please tell us
So
a little bit about your journey so far. What have you been doing so far,
I
and
think
what?
yeah, whatever I've been doing, whatever I've done, I think you can learn from LinkedIn because we have put in there. But just to make it simple, I would say I basically belong to Indian Administrative Service, and I've worked various places in the state of UP and in center. And I specialize more on the side of finance. I have worked for a long time in public finance. Then for almost 8 years in banking, I was looking after public sector banks. I joined security banking. I've also headed many companies. I was CMD for National Housing Bank. I was also CMD for SIDBI for 3 years. I was also MD of SARSAI, which implemented KYC. So I've headed many organizations, and in the last 2 and 3 years, I've basically focused on venture capital. In fact, that is the area that I've chosen for my interest and where I want to be. So that is the area and that the direction I've taken. I published 2 books. One is a bestseller on Amazon, that is Demystifying Venture Capital. That's a very popular book. It's almost sold out. Will be coming out with a new edition. Then I have published another book in USA, that is Angel Financing, that is published by Palgrave Macmillan.
Mm-hmm.
That came recent.
Demystifying venture capitals.
Yeah.
That's the name of the book.
So yeah. So
It's
that is a book we are still working because that the second book is very useful for Indian investors. But the problem is that these US companies, they don't understand business. So we have been going to let it go, let it be priced in India, but it's not happening actually. That simply doesn't bother. We sell everywhere in the world. So I don't, but they are not interested. But anyway, I'm pressurizing them to let's
Mhm.
bring an Indian edition in terms of rupees, which Indians can afford.
Mhm.
Forward is written by, all of you must be knowing, Kunal Bahel of Snapdeal.
Absolutely.
So he has written. So we are working on that. Let's hope. Because the basic argument that the book makes is that if you have some money and you don't know anything about venture and angel, still you can get into the place and you can make money. That's what it says,
Mhm.
and it gives you
Mhm.
all kind of tools and strategies to make money. And because while making money, you will be putting money, and that money will ensure a better, a prosperous, fast-moving entrepreneurial system in the country. Yes.
That's interesting. Let me start with a very comparatively generic question here. We belong to the land of a country wherein we were called Sonegi Chidiya. We had one third of the world's entire GDP. We were very, very good business people. We were prosperous in everything. And things changed after that, not as good as that. But today, if you look in general context in India, money, wealth, investment, venture capital, it is not a very not a very, I would say, respected or very highly sought after kind of career. There are reasons, of course. You being from the Indian Administrative Services and then work with a lot of institutions with prominent, place, and then moving into this, the two questions I have for you: what led to the change? Why did you not continue pursuing whatever you were doing, and what thoughts came into your mind that, okay, I need to talk about this, I need to educate people about this more and not the other part? Why venture capital journey from wherever you've been doing?
See, basically, I was into banking, and banking is a subject which is the which is I think which most of us will understand and follow. Why venture capital? Because you see, at the time when I was in that sector, I could see two phases. One phase, the bigger NPA, if you remember 15, 16, big, large NPAs in the country. There was gloom all over the economy. And on the other side, we had all these new budding entrepreneurs, startups, this capital uh, providers. So I mean, that is some that enthusiasm, that hope, that actually fascinated me. That I mean, this is something that's happening. And if you look at any economy for that matter, whether it is a US economy or even if you put together European economy as such, venture capital as part of GDP will be very, very small, to be
Mm-hmm,
frank to you. But
mm-hmm,
the story is the impact part of venture capital is far reaching.
mm-hmm,
Like Zomato or Swiggy, they are hardly anything if in the overall financial system. But the fact of the matter is what they have done is something unthinkable. Yeah.
okay.
Nobody believed that we can get food from any restaurant at our home. This was not thought. Though I have serious problems with their business model. That's a different question because whether these companies, whether it was a good
I
case,
want to
right?
talk about that. I'm making a note of that point. I want you to talk about that because that's an interesting one. It is going to be. Please go on.
So I think that's the point. That venture capital in terms of impact actually has made a lot. Look in the software, SaaS companies in US, whether in Silicon Valley or in our own country. I mean, everything.
Mm-hmm,
Challenges are different. Challenges, I believe in the challenge in the startup space in India are basically in terms of IPR because we
mm-hmm,
hardly have. We register very few original copyright. While if you look at the US and China, I mean, there are thousands. So
mm-hmm.
that's the challenge because basically Indian startup space as of now, though we are talking so much about it, is basically thriving on innovation of the existing business model. There is nothing new. I don't know, but it makes sense also. Because if as
Mm-hmm.
an angel investor I'm putting money, I want my money back. Not only back, multiplied by 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
So from that point of view, we can say, but I think that balanced growth where originality and money making they come together. So that's not happening right now. Right now, I think more of money making. But yes, we have demonstrated that Indians are entrepreneurial. See new age taking tech companies, payment companies, the kind of infrastructure that we've created, mind-boggling. Can you
Mm-hmm.
believe before UPI, did you believe that I can transfer the money in the night? This was unthinkable. See what we have done, what we have achieved.
And at the scale that we have done it with the kind of
Yeah,
options that we
whatever.
have.
Mm.
Fantastic. That's
So that's
so
how it's
interesting.
been going.
Mm-hmm. All right. So,
So the mind shift was basically because I find that area interesting, and I find that
mhm.
there's that's the area that's going to grow.
Okay. Hmm. I heard you talking about the the people who have the money and they have options to invest it in different spaces or different options. Venture capital, in terms of the impact that the money can create at the bottom of the pyramid in larger scenario, is huge. But there is not much of an awareness in the people who have the money. Why do you think is that?
See, I think you have to understand that this asset class is very comparatively new compared to stock exchanges or, for that matter, bond or any other financial market instrument. So this is new, and this requires some kind of understanding. So you have to understand because if you are going to put, if I have to give a 10 lakh check to somebody, I have to understand that business. It will require the kind of application of mind which is not required in any other thing. If I have to buy the government bond, I will go and buy it. If I have to
Mm,
invest in a stock which based on two reports, I will go and buy. Whether it is on fundamentals or more on the rumor, that's your choice. That's your call. But the fact of the matter is that this business will
mm,
require you to be serious investor. You can't just simply cut a check. You will have to
mm,
actually understand where the money is going, what is going to go to happen. And that's why you'll see in most of the companies, particularly in case of angel and venture investors, you'll find that they are not only financing, they're also actually helping in running and managing the company. So
mm.
that's the difference between these two instruments.
Okay, interesting. Let's talk about small businesses now. The
Yeah,
traditional micro small businesses. You've
yeah.
had it SIDBI for a very long time. The institution
Six
plays a
and a
key.
half crores, so much of GDP, so much of employment. I mean, there is a very big story about it, what our small businesses are. Yes. But
Right.
actually, nobody understands it. Yes.
3 points quickly, in your opinion, your experience, that the Indian MSME sector needs to do immediately in order to really, really become what it's supposed to be
So you want for my view for the sector, you want for the lenders. What do you want?
for the sector first.
So obviously, sector has to, they have to tend to become more formal, which they are doing now after GST has come. So
Mm-hmm.
that's happening for the time being. Secondly, I think once you become formal, then other things will follow. But
Mm-hmm.
on the other side, you have to understand that they are not that well educated. Also, they may not understand, because if you just put together different schemes spread across the country in terms of interest subvention, in terms of PLI, you'll find that MSME can get loan in this country for as low as 5%. But
Mm-hmm.
actually, how many of them are getting? Nobody is getting. Now, further, so I think one is formalization, second is this one, their awareness, this literacy part of it, and obviously, third is obviously if you have to compete in the market, you have to improvise, you have to change, you have to go with the technology. So that is my prescription for SMEs.
So, are you saying that even in order to access the current schemes and the current support that is available by the government, by the institutions, are you saying that the MSME owners lack the qualification, the eligibility, the technical know-how, the urgency, whatever
No,
you say?
no,
I mean, like,
no, no.
are we saying that, okay, the money is
No, no,
available,
no, no.
funds are
I
available?
think I did not say anything of this. I am only giving a prescription for them to be better equipped to deal with financial lenders,
Hmm.
to be a better market player. And see,
Hmm.
MSME, when you can, it's what do you mean by MSME actually? Because
Mm-hmm.
if you look, people, MSME actually is supposed to be a manufacturing thing. Trading is out of it. I think you must
Hmm.
be aware. But
Yes.
today, if you see, MSME is a generic term which is applied even to a theliwala,
Hmm.
right? And it should actually be applied to also. I am very much in favor of.
Hmm.
So if you look at, that's why, see, I think when I landed in SIDBI, I always struggled with the idea that where do I get a structured data about SME lending? So, and the fact of the matter, there was none. There is one data which Reserve Bank used to publish, but that was only for banks. No data about NBFC.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing that I did there, I think one of the important, you can say, interventions is that I started publishing quarterly structured data for SME,
Mm-hmm.
and that included both banks as well as NBFC as well as MFIs also. So that
Mm-hmm.
was one. That is known as Pulse,
Mm-hmm.
MSME Pulse. It comes every quarter, and it is done in the partnership of CIBIL.
Mm-hmm.
So it was done. So what we discovered there. So I have been arguing all the time that the 13 lakh, 14 lakh, 15 lakh crore as a lending to SME, which is actually shown at the way, is not the correct figure, because
Okay.
there are if you look at the kind of business loans or the personal loans which are sitting there on the books of banks and are actually being used for public for business purposes. If you just add them together, it will become 30 lakh.
Mm-hmm.
But see, no data capture. So you
Mm-hmm.
people will say 6.5 lakh, but there is no funding. But for challenge is the first to understand the problem, na? Because
Mm-hmm.
everything starts with data, everything starts with knowledge, everything starts with the information. If you are not
Mm-hmm.
correct there, then you are not correct anywhere at all. So that's the
Mm-hmm.
challenge.
I get it. The reason I put up that question is that I've been working with MSCs for a very long time, and I've been talking to veterans. I call the MSME veterans, people like you, and who've been there, done that a lot of work. When I talk to the MSME owners, the business owners, the one common thing that I always hear is that the biggest challenge that this sector faces is lack of finance, lack of access to finance,
See,
and
this is let me very clear. This is all stereotyping, and I don't believe in this. See, with so many interventions being done, with new payment, new instruments coming, with CSCs being present everywhere in every village in the country, I think this is not problem. This is not correct. Now, I think what MSMEs don't know what is their problem actually. See, the
mhm.
problem for MSME is
What is the
actually when
problem?
you get there,
Tell
I will
us.
tell you. The problem is that you actually banks are making money. See, if you look at whether it is MCLR for that matter, you can get a home loan for 6.5%. I saw an ad from HDFC Bank today, which is saying you can get a home loan for 6.5%. Same is true as SBI. But if you see the average MSME loan, if you calculate for the country, it's more than 11%. So there lies the problem, but actually they don't realize.
Mm-hmm.
See, the problem is that they don't realize that their access, what do they mean by access to finance? I never understand it. See, there are branches everywhere in the country. The online tools available. There are a lot of fintechs available. There are CSCs available. And at
I'll
SIDBI,
tell you the definition
at
of
SIDBI, I
lack of
created
access
a
to finance.
platform you might be knowing, online PSB loans,
Mm-hmm.
which is a big success. You can
Mm-hmm.
actually get up in principal section. It's less than 30 minutes. So that's a technological wonder. So I don't know what do people mean by when they say access to finance. As if access to finance basically means you are not able to access a source of finance.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how can it be? When the banks, if you look at, see, it's very surprising. When data came today, now industry loans are actually less than 26% of the GDP of the bank loan. I mean, banks are not going to survive. People may see this as funny data, but actually it's not funny data. Because if this is what is going to happen because now the banks will be in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So I see it from both sides. So the major problem which I see for MSMEs is their rate,
Okay. Why the
which
rates are
they
high?
never realize. They will always say access to finance, yes, obviously. But actually, the government has done in the past few years so many things. It has been done. I mean, any bank you see, everybody is just singing the tune of MSME,
Mm-hmm.
isn't it?
Mm-hmm. There's a
And
lot
then
of
look
talk
at
happening,
what we have
obviously.
done. When COVID came, we brought a scheme which was conceived by me, known as ECLGS, Emergency Credit Line Scheme, if you remember. That was supposed to be given to MSME. And see, you are giving a loan at zero, at without any guarantee fee. I mean, this was mind-boggling, unthinkable at that point of time. So saying, I mean, we should not go by the hearsay. A lot of things have been done. Don't think access is any more a problem. Asymmetry can be a problem. You may not get a loan from one particular bank you want to. You may have to, because you don't have proper documents. You may get a loan from, say, NBFC, but you will not get it from SBI, right? Basically, because you don't have right set of papers. So that can be a challenge.
I
So,
think
so
that
that,
is
but
the
that's a
challenge.
different problem. That's a different problem. It's not access to finance. Even from NBFC is getting access.
Mm-hmm.
And the kind of products you see. Innovation in terms of what banks can do is limited because there are so many things, there are so many rules, there are RBI regulations. So you have to understand that, and then you have to see the scale up economies at which banks operate.
Mm-hmm.
So it will be very difficult for them to give a AC loan. Some NBFCs give you a loan if you want to AC for your shop, isn't it? In fact, it was very difficult for banks to give loan to traders. because they've
mm,
always found that obviously that's a volatile
mm,
category. There are a lot of losses. People do disappear because the shop is on contract, and then there's a distribution channel which fails, and then everybody goes. I even solved that. We introduced a product, traders finance, where
mhm,
50% is a guarantee given by a trust by SIDBI. So it's not
mm.
that we've not done. We've done so much actually.
I
I
have a
think
couple of
maybe
questions coming in now. Okay. I think
yeah.
I see the problem. You know, the whole challenge that I think we're talking about is that the money is there. Banks are there to give you. NBFCs are there to give you. The other institutions are available, of course. But I think we have to make sure that you approach the right person, right bank with the right set
Yeah,
of
you got it
products,
right.
and then do the formalities. I mean, because it's a business, they also have to make sure that they're lending it to the right person. And when you are not ready and you just approached Mr. X and the Mr. X says, well, you don't qualify, then it's very easy for me to blame the whole system. Oh, nobody helps me and all that. A couple of questions coming in from the audiences here. Sonali Patnaik has just shared one question. In a study we conducted, women run micro enterprises found it challenging to access funds. They mostly use their own saved money in their business. They needed technical upgradation for quality at scale, production, and marketing skills. Yeah, that's true. What is the question? Question is here. How many women entrepreneurs, micro enterprises in India, especially in rural areas, are IT and technologically skilled to access information and funds? That's the elephant in the room here.
So
They don't know all these details. They don't know all these technicalities. They are
so
not
even
ready. What is
so
that?
that doesn't matter. See, if a person can get a loan for 10,000 rupees or rickshaw wala, then why? So don't say that money is not available. Obviously,
Hmm.
maybe you are not will not be getting the right kind of institution, but there are institutions which will give you money. But as far as
Mhm.
this upgradation is concerned, even on this front, a lot of things have been done. Many websites, many databases. Even RBI has taken many initiatives
Hmm.
about this, how to upgrade the facility, how to train. MSME ministry does a lot of things. Skill upgradation program is continuously going on. But
Mhm.
even then, money should not be a problem. You will get money from somewhere because the
That's
competition is there. See, it's a market play. Somebody will give you
Mhm.
money.
Mhm. You just have to keep trying and be better
Yes.
and be more qualified to get this money. Okay, so let's moving on to the solution part now. Of course, spreading information, educating people, make them better, all the paperwork, documentation, all that is important. But the business itself, in itself, should be strong enough so that banks can fund it. I mean, that's a business. That's how we want to look at it.
See, so that
What? Yeah, please.
it's
Sorry.
very
Say.
simple. You have to understand that what is a bank. You have to understand first. What is a
Hmm.
bank? People think bank is some rich body and they can give money. Actually, it's not true. Actually, bank is in a very funny business.
Hmm.
They take money from somebody and they give money to somebody.
Hmm.
And if somebody else's business goes wrong, actually bank is affected.
Yes.
Right? So it's a very difficult, very tricky business. See, those who you have to understand the
It's a very
trickiness of
responsible
the
business. You have to be
yeah,
interested in people's
very,
money.
very, very difficult business that they are in. That's why
Hmm.
there's so much of regulation you can see. For banks,
Hmm.
the kind of regulation that they have seen is not there anywhere for any kind of institution which banks are right now. Though now
Hmm.
other institutions are also being covered. But the fact is,
Hmm.
so it is somebody else's money. So they have to ensure that the money comes back.
Hmm.
And for
All right.
ensuring it, they can put in whatever mechanism that they think fit. But now they are taking risks. There are
Hmm.
private banks which are giving risky loans, but at a
Hmm.
higher cost. But
Hmm.
ultimately, what matters is that you should get money at the right time.
Hmm.
A cheap loan,
Hmm.
which you don't get on time and you lose your order, will not make any sense. And then then see what happened. RXIL was launched. This factoring thing
Hmm.
where you can get your invoices financed, and that again is a very very competitive market,
Hmm.
if you know. So I think so much. See, system is there in the place. The only challenge I think we should go to the right people and approach them. And I think if you approach them, and there's so many things. I started an initiative in which you just have to give a missed call. And
Hmm.
after you give a missed call, my people will be after you till you set up an
Hmm.
institution.
Hmm.
See, so I
That
think
happens every time. What a contradiction in the world we're living in, wherein you apply for one loan online and there are calls and after calls and we're bombarded with ये लोन ले लो वो लोन ले लो ये वो ले लो और दूसरी
so
तरफ
that
हम
you have
बोल
to
रहे
understand.
हैं कि
So
कोई पैसा देने वाला
I
नहीं
think
है.
the bigger problem for MSME is that they should get an affordable loan.
Hmm.
And but obviously, but that will apply more for the structured MSME enterprises, which have
All right.
some credit history. They
Hmm.
should negotiate with the lenders because
Hmm.
I don't find that rate reasonable.
Hmm. Okay, I get that.
Yes.
Okay, so I think moving on the solution side, you talked about MSMEs being more formal, right? And now we're talking about that in order for them to get the loans at an affordable price, they should improve the business and the business model. So, in terms of that, do you think digitization and using the digital technologies, formal processes, online, a lot of stuff happening, that will make them more eligible and more ready, of course increasing their
Obviously,
knowledge.
see that will do anything. At least decision making will be simpler. Look at
Mm,
what happens in the online PSB loans that we launched. What is that?
mm,
Based
mm,
on your input, they will create a balance sheet for you. They will create a CAM and forward it to
mm,
the institution that you please now sanction it. So,
mm,
so digitization is actually solving. Can you believe it? That it could
mm,
happen now. Instant loans are being given in this country. Then,
mm.
so I mean, technology is there. If there was no technology, we will not be talking today.
Why do you think MSME owners are very reluctant in adopting these technologies, wherein the benefits are so apparently
I don't,
quick?
I don't think that they are reluctant. They are changing. Obviously, somebody is changing at a faster speed, but they are changing. Because if you
Mm,
don't change, you will not survive. Look at every house. If somebody in my neighborhood actually has 5 boxes in the morning, 5 a.m., what does he do? He sells on Amazon. See, the technology is changing. People are able to make money. If we look
mhm,
at what you call this home kitchen, the speed at which it has grown, I can't tell you. This is mind-boggling. People are
mm,
becoming entrepreneurial.
mhm.
They are
So
becoming very, very fast.
that's very interesting. I
So
will take a
that's
couple of more
yeah,
questions
yeah.
from the audience. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're watching us, and this is getting really fascinating. I'm enjoying this conversation, and it's so happy, so good to have somebody on the other side of the table who's so passionate about the changes being made and being there and done that, of course, and so passionately presenting that side also. Uh, Now, in the meantime, if you want to ask questions, it can be anything related to what kind of loan, what kind of venture capital, and you know that if you want to become a venture capital investor or an angel investor, there are many things that you can learn from Mr. Mustafa here. So let me know in the comment section if you have some specific questions for him. I want to come back now to the point of let's say I am that person who wants to be an angel investor and I want to put in some money. There are startups, there are tech startups, and then there are some small businesses. Somebody wants to sell oil, a very organic, new, basic kind of oil on Amazon. I have these two options. This tech startup, AI thing, is very cool for me. But this traditional kind of business is not very cool for me. We've seen a tendency of these angel investors or VCs running after whatever the new and hottest tech available in the town, rather than going and supporting and investing in these traditional businesses, which have comparatively strong business models. Do you see that as a trend or it's just a myth? And if
So
you
no,
see
I think it's a myth. See, actually, it's all about money making.
that,
Venture capitalist is the greediest person on earth. See, they will try and they I 100x every time that they invest. Let me tell you. See,
hmm
so what actually, when you say that they go for the new tech, actually the idea is that they want businesses which are immensely scalable.
okay,
They don't want any other business. They want business. That's why if you see internet companies, they receive a lot of money. The
hmm.
companies which are losing money are actually making money on the equity side. But actually, if you look at traditional business, it is not happening. You will not find venture capital investment in MSME. It's not possible because the nature of business is different. Because the principles of venture capital are different. MSME principles are different. They will have to go for traditional financing. Unless until government comes out, I think they have come out with a scheme where some kind of equity support can also be given to traditional MSME.
Hmm. So,
Yes.
what is
So
your
I think
advice
it's all
for me
about money.
as an angel investor? What is your suggestion for me? What should I do?
See, it will all depend. But the first thing is that how much money you have. Second, how much how much time you have, and what is your risk appetite.
Hmm.
So you have to see if you don't have much of an risk appetite, then you should go beyond the curve. The company which are already in the running phase, but maybe you will not get them less than 500 million valuation. There the issue is 500 million to 2 billion is a very quick journey, but you will actually making three times money only. But
Hmm.
if you are investing before the curve, you may make 100 times. But that's your risk because the company may not survive also. So you have
So
to
I have
make,
to read your book,
you have to take a call. How much money I have, how much risk I can take.
and all these questions are answered in your book. If I want to get into detail of it,
Yeah,
I can
please.
pick up your couple of books
That
and
the
read
book,
about it.
that book, you start reading the book, at the end of the day, you are going to make your investments in next 30 days.
Wow, that's a good promise. Serious one.
So
Okay.
that's the prescription of that book.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
I'll pick up this today itself and definitely go and read and talk about that. I have a couple of questions people are sharing there, but I want to ask you a different question. Misho is the new poster boy. Where do you see this company? Do you think it has potential to challenge the Amazons, Flipkarts of the world, or it's just going to be just another in the race?
I don't know much about Miso actually, but yes, in the recent time, it has been making all the right noises here and there. They've been able to raise money. So I have not gone through what you call the details of their financial paper.
Mhm.
So I will not be able to comment on this specific because I don't know them enough to give a judgment.
And why don't you like Zomato?
No, no, not like see because the problem is with the business model. Because see it's where the support comes. A revenue making company, if it continues and the loss is going to continue for how many years? More than 10 years. It doesn't
Mhm.
make sense. And particularly retail investors should not be. Well, my worry is for retail investor because if there will be a mayhem in the stock market now, they will be the worst one
But
because there
I
will be
was the early investor.
no
I put in
undercover.
my 100 millions.
Don't
Now the IPO is there. I made money.
You may
Should
have
I?
made money right now, but actually, in the long term, it's a problematic business model. So I want retail investors to be far more educated and go and invest in startups if they want to invest in startups. The companies which are clearly profitable, companies which have a definite line. See, Nika is one which is going to come. I mean, there are a whole lot of companies which are going to come which are actually making sense. But yes,
Hmm.
Zomato has made the beginning and they have made a very good beginning. Let's see whether it survives.
If you were on the board of Zomato, what would you advise them in the
I
larger
don't know.
interest of the
I will,
public and
I,
retail
I
investors
tell
also?
them to be a little more conservative. I don't know. I have issues with the pricing also. But see, let's not discuss about any particular company in this sec because that is not fair because they are not there and they will not be able to return.
Okay, super. I think you made a fair point over there that in the interest of the retail investors and the kind of impact that this company and the other companies in that line have an opportunity to create, it is very sensible for them to make amends, make changes in the business model so that it doesn't become very risky for the retail investors. And of course, whatever the enthusiasm and the hope that has been created in the country, that also doesn't go down. I mean, it's a very responsible position that they
Yeah,
have.
that's very
I
important. That is more important actually.
absolutely. I know they are being headed by very smart, intelligent, and responsible people. They are talking about it. They are thinking about it. If not, uh, they can certainly reach out to people like you and have some of the ideas over there. Okay, I have a couple of questions. I think Sonali once again asked is do the points discussed resonate more with the urban areas rather than the rural and tribal? I think I'm picking up the question. I was interviewing Nandkishore Chaudhary a couple of days back, I think last week.
Actually, No, it's
He
not that
worked with
only.
40,000 artisans in the country and created a huge impact in the artisan economy over there, and built a very good business for. It's called the Mahatma Gandhi of the carpet industry. Uh, what are your views about the impact of MSMEs or the access to funds on rural or whatever the points that we're talking about, more in terms of the rural and tribal MSMEs or the business owners or entrepreneurs?
Yeah, there are. See, obviously, they are not that well placed. They have problem, but even they will. They see the credit access will not be difficult. But yes, they. I think the rates will be a big issue for them. If they get from MFIs or a smaller institution, it will be a costlier loan. But I think
Hmm.
money they should be able to get.
Hmm. Okay. Government has done a lot,
Yeah.
especially in last 10 years. There's a lot that has happened. I mean, I'm so happy that somebody's talking about entrepreneurs, MSMEs, digital scaling. There's a lot that is happening. Do you think that the government has more opportunities to focus on certain sectors to make sure that this initiative, all these initiatives, reach to the people who matter, or maybe they can do something more to speed up the entire process of change? Do you see
So,
opportunities over
so there are a lot of opportunity. Government is making the right choices at this point of time. They are
there?
addressing different groups. They are coming out with different kind of funds. They're coming out with different innovative guarantee schemes. So I think they are in the right direction, and I think it's make. I think uh, the economy is very favorable to a small entrepreneur today, but they
Mm-hmm.
are the VIPs today. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Fantastic. I'm working with a lot of associations, sector-wise associations.
I think that Sam will discuss when we meet.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Fantastic.
we may, because I have to go somewhere.
All
So
right.
I think our time is also over. Yes.
Mhm. Oh, sure, sure. So that
But we'll
was.
definitely catch up one of these year. One of
Mm.
these.
Okay, super. So there's a lot of things that certainly we wanted to talk about. I'll just close it now with the this last comment from your side. Of course, I want to thank you once again for taking out time, talking so candidly with us, and breaking
Yeah.
lots of myths today. You busted a lot of myths
Yeah.
today.
So
People
I
who still
my,
have doubts, they can go
my
and
comment is that don't hesitate. Go to the bank. Go to the institution. Try out your luck. You will get a loan. Financing options are available. You may not get at the way you want, but you will definitely get the money.
all right, and
Thank
read
you.
Mr. Mustafa's book if you want to get into. I'm certainly going to do
Yeah.
that. Right.
Thank you.
Somebody's asking the name of the book. It's
This is
Demystifying
called
Money.
angel financing. You can get it on Amazon. Yes.
What is the name once again, please?
Angel financing by MD Mustafa. Yes.
Okay, Angel Financing by MD Mustafa. The another one,
Yes.
the Demystifying Venture.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Once again, is coming up. Thank you very much, Mr. Mustafa.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure
Thank
talking
you.
to you. I'm so willing to meet and talk again. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Bye.